Hello viewers, you're welcome to your show, my show, our show, the Digging Deep Show. Thank you for tuning in, and as usual, we said it at the beginning of this year, 2015, that we'll be bringing different people from different backgrounds. The main reason is to upgrade, to educate, to impact the men within, and I'm talking of none other than you who is watching us right now. And with us in the studios is a man who has been in Europe for half a century, and this man not only has he been here but has been doing a number of projects working with black people, the Afro-Caribbeans, to develop them. And I don't want to preempt him, but I just want him to introduce himself. He is Mr. Errol Hines. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, sir, for the opportunity.
Yes.
And indeed, first of all, let me congratulate you on your initiative, because we do need to record for posterity the things that we do and have done, and hopefully that we will inspire those to do great things than what we have done. Yes, I'm Errol Hines, and I've been in Britain for some 54 years now. I came here as a very small boy, and I've survived here. I spent time in the British Army and all of that. I went to a good school. In fact, I went to the same school as Alan Sugar, but when I was in the first year, he was in the sixth year. And then eventually I went into the British Army and for 9.5 years, and it taught me discipline, because I was a bit of a tearaway, and discipline is absolutely crucial. It is indispensable. And, looking at the word discipline, I'd love to see far more disciplined behavior from our black youths. In order for us to achieve, we have to have a discipline, and I think, it's sadly lacking. But there are many factors. So after coming out of the army, I then went into the entertainment business, and I'm a singer. I'm a good singer. I sing from, as you can hear by the tone of my voice, I sing deep bass to, high falsetto, or whatever they call it. And I performed in a great show called Black Heroes in the Hall of Fame, where I played the Emperor Haile Selassie and Marcus Garvey, and I've been on British television several times. I've been on LBC. I've been around. But all of this, the sum total of it is to really make my statement that I am an African, born in Jamaica, of which I am eternally proud. And I think that wherever you are, once you are black, you are an African, whether you like it or not. And that's why I do believe that we have to record for posterity many of the things that we see going on today, because the next generation, they have a little time before they come. So we need to record for them, evidence of what we have done. And to date, yes, I've done a lot. I've managed the Prince's Youth Business Trust. I was the first African person to do that. I've managed the Haringey Chamber of Commerce. Also, and I've managed the African Development Forum and many things. Now I run my own concern called Star Academy Solutions. It is an accredited vocational skills development agency that is accredited by OCR and EDXL, one of the world's largest accreditation bodies. We deliver skills training in health and social care, customer service to NVQ levels 3. We also do ESOL for those people for whom English is a second language. We help people to start up their own business, entrepreneurship. We have ICT, information and communication technology, running there, and we have a video a suite as well as a recording studio. So it's a very busy place. And of course, one of the proudest things we do is that we have an African language class there on Saturdays, teaching the Ghanaian Twi language and indeed the Ethiopian Amharic. Of course, we have to add other African tongues to that. And the main reason for this is that I look forward to the day, I mightn't be here, but my spirit shall be, when, Africans, overseas Africans, will go back to Mother Africa to rebuild Mother Africa and take their skills, knowledge and experience, their pensions and their hard-earned cash with them, and build Africa into what she ought to be, the greatest nation this world has ever seen or will ever see. It's just for the African to realize it.
You're speaking of building Africa, and we have seen that there's a number of Africans coming here in the diaspora, and we have come to settle, like people like you have been here for 54 years. When are we going to have our own university owned by blacks for blacks in Europe?
Well, sir, that's a great question, because I'm an educator. I'm a teacher and so many things. But to answer your question, that will only happen when we, the Africans, right, decide to make it happen. Why should anybody build a university for us when we have the means by which to do it? A 1 pence here, a 10 pence there, a 50 pence there, a pound there, a 10 pound, 1,000 pounds we put together and we build, right, a university, not just for Africans, but it must be owned by Africans, managed by Africans, administered by Africans, mainly for Africans, so we can teach subjects that are beneficial to Africa, agriculture and those kind of things, solar power development, and business matters, because everything has to be paid for. So to answer your question in the shortest way is that it will not happen until we, Africans, decide to build it. And I'd like to put a name for it. The first university in the world was called Timbuktu. I think this should be called Timbuktu 3, the next step.
Yes, you have vast experience in working with the Afro-Caribbeans in the United Kingdom. What do you think is the main challenge which is making us probably not to succeed, not to hit that mark which we as Afro-Caribbeans need to hit?
Easy. Identity. We are searching for our identity because we've been so messed around and transported from pillar to post that we look at the different religions amongst us. Some of us are Jews, some are Muslims, some are Christians. I am a Rastafarian. You've got Buddhists, and it's one great mix. And I'm not saying that people shouldn't have a mix, but we need a common purpose as Africans, right, to really wrap our heads around. And that's why I think in Africa one of the main problems is that there is no single language, right? English is the language by default. And whilst English is the language that I was born into speaking, right, I think that there should be a language that Africans speak, right, which has in it the history of Africans. And I think that maybe Swahili or some language, should be until Africans decide to do this. I think we'll have certain things missing. The English are so powerful because of their history and their conquest and all that, but it is their language that maintains that edge. So here, what we need to do is to, find our identity, back to your question, by actually identifying that whether you are an African, whether you are born in the Caribbean, or whether you are born in America, whether you are an African Caribbean, or whether you are an African American, or whether you're an African British, you are African first and foremost. And once you have that identity and that belief structure, and you start to learn about Africa, calling yourself an African is not enough. You must learn about the great achievements of Africans. If you look at Africans, I mean, who was it that discovered, things like the first university? Africans. Who was the first person that performed the first open heart surgery? An African American. Who invented the traffic lights? An African American. Who invented blood transfusion? An African American. We are great, but too many are suffering from amnesia, and I'm here to wake them up.
Media being the main channel of disseminating message to the people, we as Africans, we happen not to be having our own main media house, which are in the mainstreams. Do you think it can happen by any chance that as Afro-Caribbeans or Africans in Europe,
certainly
we have one major media house?
I'm looking at Nigerians, which are Nigerians as far as I'm concerned. Some say that, and I believe that they are like what the Jews are to the Caucasian races. The Nigerians are to us Africans. Lots of brains, right? Lots of raw material, resources, and the most populous, congregation of black people worldwide. Media is very important. How do you think America was built? Hollywood helped to build America and then transported the culture worldwide. We were sitting in our front rooms watching westerns and all type of American films, thinking American, right, and even trying to speak like Americans, right? And so therefore, right, media is crucially important. After Hollywood, you have Bollywood. And now the Nigerians have brought Nollywood. So I think it shows you that one has to use media in a responsible, right, an effective way to tell our story so that the world can know that us Africans have been, great achievers. The first person to set foot on the North Pole was a man, an African American called Matthew Henson. And it was only during the reign of Ronald Reagan, the previous American president, that he decided to intern the man from where he was buried and buried him in Arlington National Cemetery with full honors. And there's a caption reading, co-conqueror of the North Pole. So that's the greatness of Africans. So by having media, and indeed today what are we doing? We're using media to tell stories of people's experiences. So we need to have media, and we can do this because today with the internet, we need a black network of media, television and radio and so forth. I was once a presenter on Passion Television, which was brought about by a Nigerian, Mr. Makindi. And it went well, and it was doing great things. But, because of finance, it faltered. It hasn't died. We have OBE TV, they've passed by the way. We have Ben Television, and they have held on. There is a presence there that they maintain. And it's just a matter of really cleaning up the act and moving forward. Ben Television can become a major force in media and entertainment. And you have other TV, the Africa Channel, rising up there fast, and is really, really good. There's so many. But we need to have, at least we need to get around the table and talk so that we can find a strategy to see how we can work collectively, because no one company is going to do this. For us to use media, we need to come together. We need to have a plan, a business plan. We need to have a strategy so that we can work collectively to sing the same song about Mother Africa.
Yes, Mr. Hines, you are a mentor, you're a father, and you're also a leader within the Afro-Caribbeans in the United Kingdom. And of late, we have witnessed an increase in the absence of the African or the black father within marriages. What do you think contributes to that?
It's a key question, and thank you for answering. There are several answers to that. If we cast our minds back to the days of slavery, we must remember that whatever took place in yesteryears, it impacts on the present generation. During slavery, the black man was used as a stud. The females were there, and one man would be told, there are 6 females there, make me some pickaninny, right? And sadly, that's how it was. And so a mentality developed, and I'm not suffering from excusitis. I'm not saying that these absent fathers, because I myself do not know my father. I've never seen a photograph of the man, and I'm very angry at him. But there are reasons for this. And so the black man grew up eventually, and now he's supposed to be free some 200 years after. But he still has in his mentality something that drives him away from his children. Society also is not too kind to him. He's an endangered species. I'm not saying that black women don't suffer too, but the black man has been an endangered species that poses a threat to, the powers that be. I don't know why. So these fathers who are absent is for many reasons. Sometimes they can't get on with the lady. Sometimes they've lost their job, or they have psychological problems, or somewhere in their psyche, they seem to want to run away from their children. That is not the African that I read about. The African that I know about is a man who, and I have 4 children, and I have not deserted them. They're all graduates. And I fought with them to make sure that if I couldn't give them money, and I could not give them position, I would give them education, because nobody can take that away. Because education is the only freedom that I know. Look at Martin Luther King. Look at Obama. Obama was not born royal. No, he's born of half indigenous African parentage and half Caucasian parentage. And today he is the president of the United States of America. Anything is possible. So these absent fathers that there are, wherever they are, and if you're watching this in time to come, search your conscience. You can divorce your partner. You can divorce your wife. You can divorce your girlfriend. But you cannot divorce your children, and you should not. And you women also that uses the child as a bargaining chip against some of the men. It is a crucially sad thing, and that practice must cease. We are destroying the fabric of our nation. The black woman is a centerpiece within the black nation. Malcolm X said, educate a man and you educate an individual. Educate a woman and you educate a nation. We must honor our women, but our women must also honor us too, because it's a two-way thing. And indeed, absent fathers is very sad. Hopefully, it will get less and less and less. But we have a duty to educate these fathers and to dig deep and find out what is the rationale behind this. We shouldn't wait upon others to carry out research on our behalf. We should carry out research ourselves. Our scientists, our researchers must go into these fields and find what is the rationale behind this. Why are there so many absent fathers amongst black people? There are absent fathers amongst other nations, but you hardly hear about it because apparently it's not as pronounced as amongst indigenous Africans. And so therefore, slavery must play its part in damaging the mentality of a man who hitherto would die before he gave up his children. And now he seems to be doing it to get some peace of mind. That is not the way. It is not a good excuse, and we have to stop this silly practice.
The black man is kind of losing direction, going out of sync. The black woman is kind of getting empowered business-wise and is being focused. Could slavery be the reason?
Well, I'm glad that somebody is doing it. There was a Ghanaian queen, Ya Asantewaa, and there came a time when I think Ghana was under some threat, and the men would not take up arms and defend. And Ya Santiwa, she got hold of a rifle and held it above our heads, and she said, if ye the men of Ashanti will not defend us, then we the women will do the defending. And I'm glad, happy to see today that black women, having to juggle, looking after the family, being a wife, a mother, you cleaning the house. I don't know how they are able to multitask to that extent, but they do it, and yet they go to work, and they go to college, they get their degrees, and they are doing good things, setting up businesses and so forth. The only thing with you successful women, do not forget the black man. He is your soulmate. The Father made him for you. And yes, love, you cannot deny love amongst whoever you are, because we cannot choose whom we love. We love somebody. But still, do not forget the black male. Help to pull him up, because you know he was once very strong, and society has knocked him to his knees, knocked him for six, using some dreadful and insidious means, and you cannot desert him, lest the whole nation will die. If you deny a child the blessings and the words of their father, are you not making that child half the person that they could be? Indeed. And so therefore we need to work together. The gap between black men and black women, I don't want to see it widened. I think by dialogue. We need programs to be discussing why are we apart? Why are we slipping apart? Because the black woman is the finest woman I know. She is the queen.
Do not desert the husband. He is the king and you are the queen, and you can never be a queen without a king in the house.
How can there be? How can it be?
There's this, since there is a major gap and we are seeing increases in single mothers, could this be the reason why the young black youth is more comfortable to fit into gangs? Why is it that our young people, people like you, I know you operate in Hackney, where probably we have the highest number of these young guys joining gangs? What could be the reason? Why is it our young people are finding it necessary to join these gangs?
Well, they have quite often, with no father figure around, right? What are they to do? There are no surrogate fathers. There are no surrogate uncles, no surrogate brothers, for those who don't have any siblings. And so therefore, whilst I'm not condoning gang membership, in fact, I'm very much against it, right? But if gang membership is the only way that someone can find their footing, and this might sound like nonsense and contradiction, but it's not. If it's the only way they can find their footing, providing they do not carry out any heinous, evil, criminal acts, then at times it is their only alternative, but the fault is not theirs. We, the elders, must create a system where these youths, right, do not find it necessary to go into gangs, because they know they can go and speak to Uncle Errol, Uncle Kofi, Uncle Auntie this and Auntie that. They have somebody to talk to. And the pressure that is up on the black women, particularly those who have sons, some of whom have grown to some ginormous height, and the women have become fearful of their own sons in the house because there is no man around, and the son believes that he is the mother. He's the father. Recently, we had a program on the radio that I present a program on twice weekly, and we were discussing about this problem. And some women actually complain how they have sons in their houses who are not working and who intimidate them and whom they're fearful of, and there's not much they can do about it. So gang membership is something which it is not desirable, and I don't think ultimately it can ever be desirable. But I can understand why some young men would gravitate to it. They have to talk to somebody. They have to get advice and information from somebody. The only problem is that a lot of these gang leaders, they exploit the willingness of these young people, and they plant rubbish and crap in their minds, which is not going to make them better. And we are responsible to make sure that we rescue them and that we give them good advice and good information through surrogate relatives, to try and break the hold that these gangs have upon them. Yes, I'm in Hackney, and Hackney is a place infamous for gangs. And you might be there and not even realizing that the gangs are around, but they are there. I don't have no time for them. I do not trouble them. They don't trouble me, because they know, like the center that I run, some young people come in there every afternoon between 4 and 6 to get hands-on, on the computer. And indeed, I love to see that. And there's a rule that we laid on their best behavior, which means that you cannot swear or misbehave. And two young people who had been coming there for some time, and I'd warned them before they swore, And I totally ejected them from the project to say to them, if you want to swear, go outside. Do not swear in here where we have got young children from 5 years old upwards, right? That is not a good example. And so therefore, we go back to discipline. Discipline is crucial in our community, and it is sadly missing. That's why I'm a person, I support national service. Why? Because let's look at the analogy, a tree growing up, and you can see from young that the tree is going to be crooked. If you do not straighten that tree when it can still be bent, that tree is going to grow into a big, huge tree, and then you cannot bend it. You'll break it, cut it down, but you'll not be able to bend it. So why not start from young? It is crucially important that as parents, right, and guardians, that we keep a close eye on our children, because there are so many distractions today, right, to make them stray. The devil will find work for idle hands. We must make sure that their hands are not idle, and that their brains are certainly not idle, and that we engage them in dialogue and activity to make them a better human being, and indeed a better African, to rebuild Mother Africa stronger than she ever was.
Mr. Hines, in closing, I know you are somebody who is engaging into businesses, and there are people who are coming at the center to consult in businesses. What is the major, or what is the main setback? We were seeing that Afro-Caribbeans are people who are very much hardworking, but we still end up going to look for employment. Why is it that we are not able to stand on our own, doing our own businesses?
Because we do not work together. It goes back to that. A black person, an African person, sets up a shop in a place, and lots of black people pass in the shop and they're looking at it. Some turn up their nose, others go on, others go and find out. But they have in their minds that, oh, it's going to be too expensive before even going in the shop. Right? They think the service is going to be poor before even going in the shop. They prejudge these people. So we have an attitude problem, and that's the main thing facing our people today, apart from an identity crisis, is that our attitude to each other is very, very poor indeed. We need to repair it, and repair it speedily. And by having a better attitude, we will then go in the shop and find out that the black shop is not that more expensive than the Asian shop. And if Asians can come amongst us and get us to spend our money, should it not be more so the case that we spend our money amongst ourselves? Why is it that Jews recycle so much of their own pound? It keeps reverberating in the community 2 or 3 times. The Asians, similar, right? And Caucasians, similar. But with us, we have a pound and we spend it with the people that takes it out of our community. And we are always playing catch up. So whilst other communities benefit up to 98% from their pound, our percentage of benefit is in the low 30s. We have to change this paradigm, and we've got to think strategically and economically to know that everything must be paid for, and we must work together collectively, support each other's businesses. But of course, not because they're black, because they have the quality products and services to offer. And of course, all of you entrepreneurs, you business people, you must realize that people who come into your shop do so because they want to. They don't have to. There is an alternative. So prepare your shops. Make sure that your staff are properly trained in customer service. Good presentation, good morning, good afternoon. It doesn't cost much. Be professional. Be engaged with your customer, and they will, cut down your advertising bill, because word of mouth promotion is the greatest thing. So going back to why we don't build big businesses is because we spend our money with other people, and the money goes away from us. So we have no collective security for surety. We need to have cooperatives, brought about by a conglomerate of African, Caribbean, black business people, to say we're going to start by having a warehouse down there in Hackney, and this warehouse will sell, indigenous African, foods and vegetables and wares from Africa and Caribbean, and let us fuse the two together, and people can come there and buy in bulk, and so the proprietors can then start to look to expand and to create openings in Birmingham, Manchester, wherever black people congregate. But it's not just about blacks, Take, for example, the indigenous African and Caribbean foods and takeaways. Today, nations, I've seen Chinese and indeed Caucasians and Asians now going into African Caribbean food shops and buying foods. We need to re-examine the paradigm. We need to revisit the game. We need to become more professional. We need to realize that in order for us to win customers, we have to convince them that what we are offering is as good as, if not better than, what's out there. So That's one of the reasons why we are not seeing black supermarkets, black petrol stations, black pharmaceutical industries, is because we do not work together. If the Asians can do it, and Asians are no more intelligent than we are the founders of civilization, Africans. And so I fail to see how Asians or Caucasians or whatever they're called could be more intelligent than us. Yes, we were set back with slavery, right? But we have massive brains and we are tenacious. And together, like the 5 fingers of my hand that makes my fist, we will win because we are right.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hines. There's an African proverb which says even spider webs, if they unite, they can stop a lion. So if we unite as the black people, if you unite as Africans, definitely, as he said, we will conquer. What more shall I say apart from saying thank you, sir, for giving us your precious possession, which is your time. To our viewers, thank you so much for giving us your time, which is also your precious possession. And those who are supporting the Digging Deep Show, the Digging Deep Show will not go this deep had it been your support. Time permitting, God willing, we'll be back again next week with another program. God bless you.
Thank you for the opportunity and congratulations on the name, because in conclusion, I don't know how you came with the name, the Digging Deep Show, but I think it's the most appropriate name because we need to dig deep to reveal what is within us. We need to dig deep, right, to show who we are. We need to dig deep, right, to convince ourselves that we are the ones we've been waiting for.
Thank you very much. For me and the rest of the team on the Digging Deep Show, we are signing out till we meet again. Because this is my name. Love you all. God bless you.